Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Hamilton. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Axle and responsible for sales here on this side of the pond in North America and Latin America. I'm joined with my colleague, Patrice Goutabel, who's Vice President of Product Development. And give us a second and we will get going here. All righty. So sorry, we're running a tad late, but I think we'll be able to get where we need to go in relatively short order. So 1 minute. All right. Again, welcome everybody. My name is Alex Hamilton. I'm the Vice President of Sales for North America at Axle. I am joined by my colleague, Patrice Goutabel, who's Vice President for Product Development. And today what we'd like to do is to give you just a quick update on Axle. It may be some of you have already seen it or familiar, but what we'd like to do is just, give you a quick run through on Axle, what we're doing and how we're enabling people to work both in their offices as well as remotely, typically from home, as many of us are now confined to our home offices or bedrooms or kitchen tables, as it were. So without further ado, I am going to pass this on to Patrice. There you go.
Thank you, Alex, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. Confirming that my screen will be visible.
I am good.
Excellent. So Axle is really software that is meant to help you index and browse through your media files. And we provide this within a web interface. So if I were to start my web browser and access, in this case locally, but you can type the IP address of the server or even a domain if you get to have remote access, you will be presented with the login page. And once I log in, what will happen is I will access, let's try again with the correct username. What will happen once I log in, now that you have seen the protection feature that the password locking is working, I will have direct access to the storage that I am authorized to see. And you will see that I have previews and folders. So let's briefly review the main user interface here. On the left side, I can expand and collapse the folder structure and just jump to the folder that I am interested in. And that will be the browsing. So this is an exact replica of what I have indexed within my drive. So what that means is, if I were to start Finder and check a folder, for instance here, the Axle 2019 folder, you will recognize the same folder structure that I have here in Finder. And going to Carshoot, you will see the videos, which means that any new files, any new folder, or any movement, file movement, folder movement, renaming, anything that happened in the storage will be then picked up by the Axle system, and it will reflect it in its web browser interface. So it's kind of like a watch folder system that will be checking what's going on and reflecting in the web browser interface. Now, I'm doing everything locally here, but you can mount any SAN, any NAS, so for example, if we actually have a Axle bundle with Simply storage, actually, if you sign up to check our website later on, we will have a webinar with Simply. So basically, if you have a fast speed storage like a SAN, like Simply or NAS, you will be, and it is available to the Mac or the Linux machine running Axle, you will be able to index it and catalog it. And any new file is going to automatically generate a low resolution preview, including scrubbing through the thumbnail. Other items on the left side will be the bins, which will be a project area. And you will see that I have in and out points set for files. We have also below the bins the smart filter, And that will be really predefined queries such as when the files was added or created, if the file was approved or rejected, or the saved searches that you have within the system. As a user, when I perform a search, I will be able to save this search query and re-perform it again. And last but not least, we have, of course, the archiving system. So when you need to free up space in your high-speed storage for new material, a new project, and you want to park some of the older footage that you will not need, you can archive it to cloud, you can archive it to tape, you can archive it to a slower storage, and still have access to the content in Axel, but freeing up the space within your storage. So left side is really meant to jump quickly to everything you need. At the top, you have the logo area. You can use your logo, which is actually even more important now that we have introduced some solutions to give you remote access via the internet to your storage. And I will get there in a minute. We have also the search feature. It is full Elasticsearch, so I can search across everything. So if I were to search on Axel, it's going to search across path, file names, any kind of metadata. And you will see that it found roughly 890,000 files. And this is where the power of Axel will come in, because I can continue to tag more keywords. Let's say, for example, I want to say Benedict. And we filter it down to just 2 files in a fraction of a second, really. So this is the search where I can just continue to type until I find what I need. By clicking on a lens, I can build advanced search queries, such as, let's say the file name content Benedict, and I will add a new query, and I will say the approval is approved. I can even do some more complex stuff, such as modification date is less than, let's say, August 1st, 2020. And I will search, and nothing was found. Let me remove that, to surprise. September 11, 2020. So it looks like something happened here. This file was updated. So you will see that it did find the file as soon as I remove the date. You have the Elastic query shown here above. And by clicking on this clock wheel here, this is where you will be able to save your search. Going back to the preview, let's take a look at the player window. If I were to click on a thumbnail of the main content, whether it is from the search result or while browsing, you will see that I have the player window. So we automatically generate a small H.264 that can be played on the web browser. So you don't need to worry about the codecs. We do keep the time code intact. You will see the time code start time here. And if I go to the very first frame, you will see it is the exact same time code. I can scrub through the video. I can move frame by frame using either the arrow keys, or I can use also these buttons on the video player. The same fashion, I can use the I or O key to get the in and out point, or I can use these brackets. And using the JKL keys, I can have different playback speed. It's a little bit hard to see in the screen sharing mechanism, but hopefully you can see. And below that, you will see that I have a smiling person comment showing up. And this is what we call the markers, or the comments. And this will be metadata associated to the timeline. So when I create these in and out points, if I wanted to say, for example, start, I will post. Now you will see that I have this new marker with the in and out point that I have created, and it is becoming searchable. So it's metadata associated to the timeline. To create the bins, to create the subclip for the bins for the project, I will go to the subclip here. And you will see that I have already one segment for where I say in-car. So this is the main content area, and you will see some timeline-based metadata here. And on the right side, you will have a custom metadata field. So this will be the user tags that you're going to create. And you create different type of tags. So it can be text field, it can be checkboxes, date field. So I can simply enter a date. Let's say that the shoot date was April 1st, 2020. drop-down menu, multiple select, and all this information will then become searchable. And as you have seen, we are helping you build the query depending on the file type. Going back to the advanced search, I have the approval, you already have the drop-down menu, but let's say that I want to check the checkbox here. I have a checkbox. If I had a date, if I could shoot date, I would have the calendar showing up. So we help you build the advanced search based on the type of data. Now, this is the old and boring way. To be frank, nobody really spent the time to tag. And frankly, now that everybody shoots a lot more videos nowadays, it's really growing at an exponential rate, there is even less time now to tag. So we have implemented some tools that also aim to help you with that. How do you make your media searchable? Like, after all, when you receive a Word document or a PDF document, you can do a Control F or Apple Command F, and suddenly you can search for words within your documents. But you cannot really do that for videos. So we have implemented AI tools that will help you automatically tag the video and search for it. When you think about it, you already have your phone is already returning some keywords based on the photos, such as, hey, look at these collections of your pets, or these collections of where you're hiking. It is already using AI to analyze the pictures. We are doing something similar, but for video and pictures as well. So let me research again for Benedict here. And again, going through close to 1 million files in a fraction of a second, I find what I need. And I will take this clip here, this Saturday Night Live skit. And now you will see that under the video player, I have a little bit more information that is associated to the timeline. Again, everything is under the video player is associated to the timeline. Now, if you need to have this information while playing the video, you can also find it down here. If I were to scroll down, you will see that I have timeline data. And let's take a look actually at the face. And you will see that I have, again, this little representation of where it is. It is an exact replica of what I have done here. The same way we presented the markers, we are here presenting the face. So where does Beck Bennett or Benedict Cumberbatch appear in this video? And you will see exactly where they are. And you can easily jump straight to here. So you have this bit of information. So you know who appears in the video right off the bat. And of course, not everybody will have any Cumberbatch in their videos. So if you do have people that are unknown, you can either train the system, or you can have a predefined data set that you can use. AI is all about the data set. If I were to train facial recognition and give the wrong name, it will not do me any good. These little things also appear in the search result. This right bar information also appears in the search result, so it can be useful if you have multiple clips to confirm what you have found. Annotations would be object detection. Now, it's a little bit boring here because it's just a skit, but let's check electronics. And you will see that it has a TV shown here. And if I remember correctly, this clip has a screen. Here we go. So you have a little bit of screen showing up, television. So it shows you different things so you can pick up. Now, in a setting like that, it's not that useful. But if you had, for example, a shot with a lot of animals and other things, you would be able to find something of interest, and that will be able to show you something more interesting with the object tagging very shortly. But the real killer here is the transcript. What is being said in a video? And you have all this information available, and all this AI content that we generate becomes searchable. And this is where it's key. Now, you do not need to have somebody go in and start to tag your media. You know, everything is already available. So not only when you install Axel off the bat, we try to understand what's going on with the file name, and we can pass other information such as XMP, IPTC metadata. So if you have already done some tagging prior to putting it into Axel, we can try to reuse it. But for later on, or even to a previous clip, wouldn't it be great if you had like an archive and suddenly you put like 20 years worth of footage and you can find what you do, who appears or what is being said? And in fact, I was talking to the NHL. They did not use Axel, but they were talking about some cool applications they did on AI, which is they trained a model to know every goal that have been how would you say, not rejected, but basically overruled. Basically, every time it has been overruled, like the goal was not valid. And there is a specific move that the referee is doing, and they trained, and all their clips, they went through and they found all the times that the referee overruled or overturned the goal. And that was actually something pretty cool. And instead of having somebody sitting through 20 years worth of footage, they just had AI do it. That's some applications that you can do. Yeah. So these have been a quick overview of Axel. Speaking of transcript, you can easily edit the transcript, and you will see that it will follow. Let me actually go back all the way to the top here, and you will see that it will actually update based on where we are in the video, and I can just go in, and when I am done, I can export to different formats. Same thing with the facial recognition. Let's say that it is not Andy Bryant. I can double click and I can teach the system and update the face. So it's all about the data, what you can aggregate and what you can search against. And speaking of the object detection, where it can be useful, if I were to take this old stock footage here, this tourism stock footage, now there is a lot of faces of people that are not known. So I always recommend that you prepare your data set prior to going. As you can see, there is a lot of unknown people. So have a good data set before analyzing. But let's go to the annotations in this case, because this is where it's key. And let's say that alcoholic beverage, it picks up alcoholic beverage, and it found,
your very eyes.
Not sure what it found. It looks like it's glass, but aircraft. And here you have aircraft and where they appear in the video. So you can actually scrub and find them in your video. So we have annual plant, apartment building, Apple, ballet tutu, beach. So you have all this information available, and that will help you again find the segments of what you need that can be very useful. And we are about 10 minutes left, and I would like to give a chance to everybody to ask questions. So I'm just going to briefly touch about the remote access. Now, Alex has mentioned it a little bit earlier. Everybody is faced with a challenge now to be working remotely, but your footage did not move. Your footage is still in the office, or you don't necessarily have a SAN at home. So what do you currently do? You use Dropbox, you ship drives. What if you were to have this interface, the interface where I was able to browse, preview, search, tag, and use AI to actually even get more information? What if I were to be able to access it remotely? This is something you can easily do. And I'm going now to access a server that is in London. And this service is called reverse proxying. What we do is we have a server in a cloud that you are tapping, and there is a direct link between this server and your Axor server, whether it is Linux or Mac. It is not OS dependent. And from there, you can have your Axor interface available to the internet without opening any port in your firewall. So this is really key here, because you do not need to get IT involved. You do not need to open up to external threats, your network. You just have a program that is going to create a secure connection between a cloud server and your Axor server. People are going to access the cloud server, but this cloud server is going to make the request to your Axor server. And that way, you stay secure, and it's all good. If I were to use SSL certificate, which we can use, you will have the SSL as well. And it can be a Axor AI domain, or it can be your domain. Now I am accessing this system here. Let's see what is the experience if I am accessing it remotely. So log in. It's pretty much, again, I am in Northeast America. This server is in London, and you can see the speed. I can scrub through the video. A little bit of a delay, but nothing too dramatic. I can still scrub through the video. I can change the approval. I can perform searches. So let's search on New York, for example. And we go through, and it will basically look for files and find what I need. And here we go, all the 20 files found, New York. And if I were to need these two files, for example, I quickly review, I need these two files, I can just go, oh, I do not have the permission to download, but there is the possibility to download files if need be. if I were to click on the file and get the preview, here is my preview. Again, you will see this route of New York. And you have all the information, and I can go in and comment and say what I need to do. So the same interface is available through the internet, and this is where the logo here on the top left is key. We have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to actually stop for a moment and make sure that we get to all the questions that are coming in. So let's see. Oh, the question will be, so wow, there are actually a couple of questions. I'm sorry, I'm actually slightly overwhelmed here. Let's see, let's try to do in order. So somebody was wondering, if I have a camera file card, a camera card with the US folder structure, how can I actually have a nicer preview? Can I make some sort of a collection? We don't have collection per se within Axel, but if I were to look, and you will see a lot of JPEG, videos, folders. So let's imagine for a second that I want to filter that and just put like, I just want the audio files only. And I will click, and here I have only the 8 audio files. And you can do the same thing with video and images. And from there I can go and play the video file.
Easily, by the way, I've known.
So this is how you could flatten potentially the folder structure here. Excellent question, thank you. Other question was about proxy editing. So let me actually, for that case, go back to my system here. So I'm exiting the system in London, going back to locally. So I was talking about the download earlier, and let's say that I need to download this file here. You will see that we are presented with 2 options: the high-res original or the proxy file. Now there are 3 tiers in Axel. You have the high-res media, which is the original. You have the browse copy. What we call the browse copy is the very small version that we use to stream on the web browser here. And that is the browse copy. A small H.264, a small H.264, with a stereo codec, with stereo output. And then we have an in-between tier, which will be the mezzanine file. And this is something you can trigger or not from Axel, because it takes a little bit extra time to render all these files. So you can trigger it, you can turn it on and off. And this mezzanine file is actually it's a 720p, 2 megabit per second H.264 video, but we do keep all the audio intact. So it's an audio pass-through, which means that let's say that this file, I have a mezzanine when I want to download it. When I pick proxies, it is going to look first for the mezzanine. And if it does not find the mezzanine, it's going to bring over the browse copy. But if you do have the mezzanine file, this is ideal to basically edit via the proxy file and then later on relink. So your remote, there is a lot of footage that you need to grab. Do you really need to download 50 gigs of files of raw footage, or can you actually get away with just 2? That can make a huge difference for people. So this is something you can do. Also, if you were to talk about Adobe Premiere Pro, they do have the possibility to import high-res, but attach a low-res proxy, which means that, let's say you do have access to your high-speed storage directly via VPN. You can add the file directly from the storage that is in the office. But then the editing experience would be terrible. It will be too laggy, stuttery. You will not have the fluidity needed to edit, especially when you start to do color grading and other things. So if you were to have a lower resolution proxy mezzanine file that you can edit from, and then export using the high-res in the office, this is also possible. We are really coming up. I hope people have a little bit more time so we can cover all the questions. Thank you. We keep them coming. So Okay, we talk about Premiere. What about Avid? I have a question about Avid. Great question. So we basically, if I were to go here to the bin area, and I will select this clock wheel, I will be able to export to my NLE of choice. You have Premiere, Final Cut Pro, we still have 7 and 10. Since Final Cut Pro 7, nothing is changing. We just leave it as is. Believe it or not, we still have a couple of clients using it. But so I do not have it here, but there is also the possibility to have Avid files and AAF file for Media Composer. So this is something that you can definitely do. We support. In terms of supporting Avid workspaces, we do have a module available that will allow you to get the workspace index within Axel. Like I said, you choose what you want to index, and it can be a workspace from Avid. You get it indexed, and from there, you will have all the OP atom files that are going to be shown as the master clip. So you will not see each of the atoms. You will not see the video and audio track. So you will see the master clip with the preview. But in our database, we know which atoms or which track, MXF track, belongs to which clip. Excellent question so far. So does the AI carries over to the editing software? This is something we are still working on, but as of today, if you were to use the XML file, we do send over when I download for Premiere, you will have markers and transcript and face recognition sent as markers as well to Premiere. If you were to use our Premiere panel, we have a panel within Premiere, and let me see if I can launch it and demo it very briefly. Premiere. So you will have the possibility to directly browse, search, import assets. And let's say that you're remote. Let's say that I'm connecting to the server in London again, and I found a clip that I need. It will offer you the option to download this file directly onto your project. Can Axel work with removable drive? As a matter of fact, yes. If you see this drive that is actually amber, I will be able to. It means that the drive is offline. And here we go. So you have the file is here. I can still scrub the file, but the file is offline. So knowing that the storage is offline means that I can basically re-add it. Once it is reconnected, do not have it on me, but once it is reconnected, you will have the normal color. Excellent question. Thank you. So thank you, everybody, for your time. Let's see. I'm just going to hang out for another minute, make sure that we answered all the questions. Please check out the Simply integration, the Simply storage. You will be able. We have a bundle, so if you in need of high-speed storage, you will actually get both the high-speed storage for editing plus Axel. So check it out. That may be useful, especially with remote access. Our email address, our first name at axel.ai. So my email would be Patrice, Patrice at axel.ai. Alex's email would be Alex, ALEX at axel.ai. So yeah, that can be a little bit confusing there.
Tongue tire. That's my specialty. Axel at Alex or Alex at Axel.
Exactly. So thank you very much. Doesn't look like we have any other questions. So feel free to reach out. We are happy to set up a trial. We have 14-day trials available, and we can even include remote proxying. So if you actually reverse proxying. So if you actually want to check out the reverse proxy and see how you can use remote access to your storage, happy to set it up for you guys. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.